Hello, Stone Ridge community. I am Leslie Shaw with Corpay, and I work really closely with our Microsoft Dynamics partners to help their customers modernize payments and reduce risk. So we really value our relationship with Stone Ridge. We're especially glad to have the opportunity to connect with you, their clients, today.
Hi guys, I'm Sarah Watson. I'm on the sales side for Microsoft. I'm also with Corpay, and I work with the finance teams to help simplify the accounts payable process and help improve cash flow. My focus is helping organizations move away from manual processes and into something that's more efficient, more controlled, and actually measurable.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get into process or technology, we want to start with something just a little bit more real. These are real headlines that I've brought for you guys today. A hospital CFO charged in a 15 million embezzlement scheme. Google and Facebook, you've heard of those names, losing 100 million to phishing. And a Toyota supplier lost 37 million to an email scam. That's business email compromise right there. You guys, these are not small companies. They are sophisticated organizations. They have impeccable security in place. They are proactive in risk management. So this is happening to teams that look a lot like yours. So that means the question really isn't if risk exists, it's where does it exist in your process today?
Yeah, those numbers are scary to see up
They
there.
really are, Sarah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I want you guys to just take a second. I have a quick question, and I want you guys to just think to yourself for a second. What percentage of organizations do you think experienced payment fraud or attempts last year? It was 79%. That's nearly 4 out of 5 organizations. You guys, that's
That's
crazy.
that's still shocking to me. I've known the
That is
statistic for a
wild.
while and it still
I
shocks me.
know. It's wild to me as well. But beyond that, 2.7 billion in ACH fraud losses. 18 days on average downtime from ransomware. That is a
Yeah,
huge number.
absolutely. And Sarah, I think there's a misconception. A lot of people think that checks are the most
Good
impacted
call
by
out.
fraud,
Yep.
and it's really not. It's
hmm
ACH. I
It is
mean, look at these
ACH. Yep.
numbers. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and most
So,
of that risk shows up in really specific ways inside of AP.
yep,
So
definitely.
let's make this real, okay? These are some common red flags we're seeing today in the Dynamics environments. You get an email from your CFO. It's urgent, asking for a payment review, and it looks really real, but it's not. Or let's say a vendor emails saying they've updated their banking info. It's the same logo, but with a slightly different email domain. Or maybe someone gains access to your Business Central or F&O environment and just quietly changes a payment detail. Worst case, your systems are locked down until a ransom is paid.
See this
You
all the
guys,
time.
yeah, I know. And none of these require a massive breakdown. They just rely on speed, on trust, or on small gaps in process. And if your AP process is manual or fragmented, the reality is those small gaps exist.
Definitely. The good news is there are things that you guys can do right now. So, as you can see, there is a very long list of things on this screen. So, I'm not going to read everything out on here, but I do just want to highlight a few things that consistently make the biggest impact. So, vendor verification, real validation, not just email confirmation, segregation of duties. No single person should own everything within the process.
Yeah,
Multi-factor authentication, that should be a non-negotiable.
absolutely.
In approval controls, limits, workflows, checks.
Absolutely.
So if you look at your current process, what's one of these that you guys could implement tomorrow? I'm curious to know, and I hope we get to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would imagine you could probably check off a lot of these of we're already doing them today. Positive pay, I
100%.
would be shocked if you aren't doing that today. So you probably already have fantastic initiatives in these security measures, right? But
Yep.
what are some that you could add to your repertoire, maybe even starting tomorrow, right? Because even one of these changes would reduce your risk of exposure, right?
Yep. 100%.
But I'm curious if anyone that's watching felt a little overwhelmed when we pulled up this slide because it's incredibly busy, right? A lot of words.
It
I
is.
felt overwhelmed because this is a long list of things to make sure that you are implementing consistently and correctly. So I kind of want to shift gears from reacting to risk to actually solving for it. So companies are choosing Corpay, I would say, for three simple reasons. We've already talked about all of this risk mitigation, right? And Corpay can really help reduce that risk. We also can support our clients by helping them to work more efficiently and to save more.
Mhm.
The way that we do that is by fundamentally changing how payments happen. Okay, so let's dive into that a little bit, Sarah.
Yep, definitely. So this is where things really start to click. I want you guys to take a look at this slide and maybe just analyze where you guys are at in this process today. What does your AP process look like? Is it this top slide? Is it this middle portion? And what we see with most of our clients is a combination between things, but a lot of our clients we see are focused primarily on the top. So the top you can see is what most AP teams are doing today. There's multiple payment types, multiple workflows, manual reconciliation, vendor calls. Vendor calls alone in that middle section that's highlighted in pink is 26% of an AP person's time. 26.
Wow.
Yeah. So between that, you've got your checks, your ACH, your international, if you guys do international payments, and all of those are separate processes. It's time consuming and it creates risk. Even with traditional bill pay provider, with this middle section, as you can see, you're going to gain some level of efficiency and improvement, but only about 5%. So the majority of that work that's being done is still going to be put on your team. You're still going to have to
Yeah.
collect and store and validate all of the account and routing information for your vendors. You're still going to have to field the vendor questions. You're still going to be doing most of the work.
Yeah.
But with Corpay, you can see essentially it's a completely different model. One thing I do want to call out is with our F&O and BC clients, and even GP, if there's any legacy GP, we have a native functionality built in. So you guys don't have to leave the ERP to make those payments. You essentially select that invoice, you send us that payment file, Corpay handles the rest. So payment execution, supplier enrollment, support, reconciliation. That leads to 31%, if not more, efficiency gain
Yeah,
within your process.
absolutely. And you
So,
guys, just to clarify, we're still sending all of these payment types that you see up here at the
yeah,
top.
good call
So
out.
we're printing those checks for you. We're putting them in the
Mhm.
mail. We're sending the ACH payments, the virtual card payments, the international payments. Let me just pause because I don't want to make an assumption, Sarah, that everyone who's listening today knows what a virtual card payment is or
Yeah,
is using that in their process. So when we say virtual card, Corpay is, little pat on the back here, the #1 issuer of B2B MasterCard payments. So we issue a single use virtual card. So 16-digit MasterCard number, emailed remittance advice. It's got expiration date, it's got CVC, it's got the card number, so that when your vendor gets that payment, they can put that into their system and process the payment immediately. Vendors love it because they get paid faster and they're not worried about their checks getting lost in the mail or someone masking as them to change ACH information. So it's more secure for your vendor as well. But they have to enter that payment in for the exact amount of the transaction that we sent them. Otherwise, it's not going to clear. And then once they do process the payment, that number is retired. So, we're talking about red flags and payments and security prevention, all of that stuff, fraud prevention. This virtual card payment becomes the most secure form of payment. It's
yeah,
very difficult for a fraudster to hack. So just want you guys to know that when we say send your single payment file to Corpay and then we're doing all these payments for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you
Good
have
call
those
out.
international payments, we're sending those. We have an entire division called our cross-border team that supports you in those international payments. We're not changing what you're doing today in terms of how you're paying your vendors. If you have multiple modalities, we can still support you in that. We're just going to optimize it. We're going to make it more efficient. We're going to make it more secure.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. That's transformational, guys.
It is totally. Okay, so what separates Corpay? What makes us stand out from all the others in this space? Sarah and I are not oblivious that AP automation is a fairly saturated industry. So
Mm-hmm.
we feel like our duty here today is to share with you how we're different. And so
Yeah.
really one of the main ways, other than our heavy importance on fraud prevention, I would say, is our network effect. What we mean by that, we have the largest vendor network because we have been doing payments since 1969. So we have been here in the space a while and we have built quite a network that we are proud of. So with over 4 million vendors, we have nearly 1 million and still counting that accept our virtual card payment. So we are already paying the vendors that you guys pay today. Essentially, you can view that as money that you're leaving on the table right now. So we're here to tell you to take that money and put it in your bank account. We can help you do that. But we also have a team that's dedicated to supporting your vendors. So we have concierge payments where we're logging in and making payments online for you. We do ongoing vendor enrollment, which is why when you look at this graph right here, we don't have that vendor churn because we're not doing one-time or annual enrollment. We're doing ongoing enrollment, making sure that we're maintaining those relationships and communicating the value of virtual card payments to your vendors. So off the bat, that average Corpay enrollment is higher. You guys, look how high we can get this vendor enrollment as we go over this 5-year process, working together to enroll your vendors onto a virtual card. So definitely our network effect is a differentiator for us, and that leads to something that's really important for you as our customers, because payments go from a cost center to a revenue generator. So this is exactly what we're seeing with our customers that shift from manual processes to something scalable and optimized. And what that means for you, let's take a look at this. If you are a $100 million company, you might be getting close to 5 million in virtual card spend. Maybe this is through a bank or through a different card provider. There are other virtual card providers out there that can certainly help you make your payments more secure through those virtual cards. You're getting maybe 49,000 in rebate every year. With Corpay, if we leverage that vendor network that I was just talking about, with 2 to 3 times the vendor enrollment, we're going to bump that number up to 8.6 million in virtual card spend so that you're getting $86,000 back a year. And I'm not talking about points. I'm not talking about an annual rebate. This comes back to you every month via ACH to your bank account. This is real money. This makes the AP team a revenue contributor to their company. Okay. Alrighty.
So, as Leslie mentioned, we are MasterCard's #1 issuer here in North America. So, kudos to us. That's great news. Obviously, this slide's kind of highlighting some of Corpay's accolades, as you can see on the bottom. But the things that I really want to call out here are A, the MasterCard piece, but B, the 400 billion in payments. We did 400 billion in payments last year. 800 million in rebates paid out to our customers annually. Like Leslie just mentioned in the last slide, no more points, no more fake money. We're paying that money back to our customers every single month in the form of cash. So let us help you with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah, I've sometimes called this our brag slide because
Yes,
that's
it is.
essentially what it is. But I think the importance of it is to let you know who is handling your payments. You can't just outsource that to anyone. You need to feel
No,
confident and you need to
definitely.
know that the person that's handling your payments and guaranteeing security of your payments, all of that, that they mean what they say. And so
Yep,
Corpay does have the track record, and that's what we wanted
do
to show you here today.
100%.
Okay, guys, so if you take away one thing from our time together today, it's this: fraud is increasing, and
Yes, it
manual
is.
processes are where that fraud lives, or where that risk lives, I should say.
Yeah. But when you modernize your payments, you don't just reduce the risk. You're going to gain efficiency and you're going to create that real return.
Yeah. Okay, so we would really love to continue the conversation, or more so have the conversation.
Yes.
We want to answer questions. We want to take a look at your current process. We can run what we have so creatively called a Corpay match, where we can look at your vendor file and hold it up against our vendor network. And then from there, we can really tell you what your ROI would be and what this program would look like for you in terms of how much money are you leaving on the table that we could capture on virtual card and give you that rebate back on? Or how much can we save you on check costs? What is your ACH program look like today, and how can we manage that for you and offload that risk for you? So we can do that for you through our Corpay match. If you pop over to our virtual booth, I have some information for you there on that. You can certainly connect and we can share more about that process for you. It's complimentary. You know what? In fact, Sarah, let's give them $100 MasterCard gift card
Let's
if they
do it.
send us that file.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's just pull that out real quick. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So
Love
absolutely,
that.
definitely connect with us on that one.
Yeah, for sure. So stop by our booth. Definitely want to continue this conversation. I would love to know if any of these slides that we talked about today hit home for you guys, if there was anything that maybe stood out to you that you saw or that's happening within your organization today. So pop over, let's connect, let's talk, let's see how we can maybe improve what you guys are doing or just answer any questions that you may have. So
Yeah.
we're here and yeah, I really appreciate everybody's time and looking forward to talking to you guys more.
Yes. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Have a great
Yep.
day.
Have a great day, guys.